Hi there, I'm Yvonne Dempsie and I'm here to tell you about my public engagement activities. So my talk is titled From Craft Making Drugs to Discussing LSD in Pubs, Engaging the Public with Pharmacology. So I've chosen 3 different public engagement activities that I want to talk to you about today. The first, as the title suggests, is craft making drugs. And of course, this is aimed at younger people, such as primary school age children. And this is an activity that I have used during GCU Citizen Science Day, where we engage primary school children and their families with various different science topics. Discussing LSD in pubs, of course, aimed at adults, and that is part of the Glasgow Science Festival that I was involved in a public debate. And lastly, what I want to talk to you about is my work with the Glasgow Pharmacological Society. And part of this is that we organise annual seminars. Now, these seminars are primarily aimed at students, but we promote them widely, and we always get members of the public that come along to these seminars, which is great. So I wanted to touch on that as well today. So what I'm going to do is go through each of these in turn and discuss them in a little bit more detail. So first of all, craft making drugs, and this is one of my favourite public engagement activities. It is really good fun. The kids love it and they are so engaging and so enthusiastic about it. So when we've done this, we use the BPS Medicine Makers Kit, which I would highly recommend. It's great. I've only ever used it for primary school age children, but of course the children bring along their parents, older siblings, and although they're not going to be as interested in craft making drugs, it does open up some discussion about drug receptor interaction. The kit focuses on analgesic drugs, so you can get a lot of chat there about how analgesic drugs work and explain to the parents and some of the older siblings mechanism of action, etc. So it does open up a lot of discussion on pharmacology, although it's primarily aimed at younger children who just have great fun. You know, with the pipe cleaners and the beads, making the different drugs and looking at how their drugs will interact with receptors. So as I said, great fun activity. I have to say, afternoon with primary school children, brilliant fun, but totally exhausting. They keep you on your toes all the time, but really great event, and I would do it again. And I really recommend the BPS Medicine Makers Kit. Now, as I said, we used this craft making drugs activity in the Medicine Makers Kit at the GCU Citizen Science Day, and this is organised by Dr. Susan Grant, this lady at the front of this picture here. And what Susan does an excellent job of taking the science out to the community. So we don't expect the communities to come onto campus. We organise this in a local community centre and we put out invitations to local primary schools. So we invite them to come along to a local community centre and we target areas of Glasgow where not many people go to university. It's a free event and we have a free lunch provided, and you'll see as I go through this presentation that free food or drink is quite a common theme of getting people to come along to public engagement activities. It's great if you have the funding to do that. So as you can see from the amount of us that were involved here, there were lots of different interactive science activities that day. So we had a bug barbecue where people could try bug burgers. We had the from shoulder to fingertips activity where you stimulate a nerve in the arm and it causes the fingertips to twitch uncontrollably. So the kids love that. Make your cells glow, fluorescent cells, listen to your blood flow with a Doppler, and you can get the kids to run on the spot and exercise a little bit, and then they can hear the changes in their blood flow. And also 2 activities that at the time we didn't realise how relevant they would become. Of course, we know now, unfortunately, the virus workshop where kids got to make their own virus, and how well can you wash your hands, where you washed your hands and then you looked in a fluorescent box to see how well you had washed your hands. Of course, those activities have become very relevant in the last 18 months. But definitely recommend the BPS Medicine Makers Kit for engaging primary school children with pharmacology. So the next event I want to say a little bit about is discussing LSD in pubs. So this was part of the Glasgow Science Festival. I took part in an event that's run every year, and it's the My Favourite event organised by Dr. Jim Riley. So he said, my favourite doomsday scenario, my favourite drug. And the year that I took part, it was my favourite guinea pig. And this is myself in the centre with Dr. Margaret Cunningham from the University of Strathclyde and Dr. Kirsty McIntyre from the University of Glasgow. And I had great fun presenting the case for Dr. Albert Hoffman, who of course developed LSD and first tested LSD on himself. So it was a really great story to tell, and I had brilliant fun researching the story and finding out more about LSD, not just the pharmacology of LSD, the politics of LSD, the history of LSD. It was fascinating. So 20-minute presentation and then a question and answer session after. And I tried to keep it, I mean, we did put in some of the pharmacology and the mechanism of action, but tried to keep that quite light and have quite a broad appeal. And the feedback on this event was really, really good. People really enjoyed it. Of course, no free booze in a pub, you had to pay for it, but there was booze involved and you could buy dinner after it. So we all sat with a few drinks and some dinner after it, and it was a really great night. So lastly, I just want to touch on the Glasgow Pharmacological Society and the work that we do to engage the public with pharmacology. So this is a collaboration between Glasgow Caledonian University, University of Glasgow and the University of Strathclyde. And what we try and do at the Glasgow Pharmacological Society is to promote pharmacology and to provide a local support network for pharmacologists. So we have, part of this is that we have an annual seminar, and after the seminar, and just as important as the seminar, we have free pizza and drinks, and this really helps to pull in a good audience of both students and the general public, and it's a great buzz about the social event. People meet lots of new people, new connections are made, and it's just a great way to get to know people. And we've been really lucky that we've got some really great speakers, and the topics that they wanted to speak about have had a quite broad appeal, and that helps when you are trying to get the public involved, not to make it too niche a topic. Something with really quite broad appeal helps to get people involved. So we had Professor Humphrey Rang, who spoke about drug discovery, prospects and problems in a changing world. Professor David Nutt, why pharmacologists should also be revolutionaries. And Professor David Cowan, drugs and sport, who wins and who loses, all excellent topics. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have Professor Gary Stevens. That had to be postponed due to COVID, so hopefully we'll be able to get that seminar running again soon. And Professor Stevens was going to speak about getting medicines from cannabis, the journey from cannabidiol to Epidiolex, which of course again has a very broad appeal. So I just want to finish this presentation by talking about the benefits of engaging the public with science. So for me personally, it's just that I've met lots of great people and been involved in organising lots of exciting events. For the students that I work with, there's opportunities for them to get involved. That, of course, is really good for their CV, and it brings an increased belonging with their discipline or professional body. And lastly, it's just great fun. So thanks for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.